Can't hear you.
Playoff picture is starting to take shape, and we're wondering, how does the wild card race play into how you should be betting Major League Baseball? Well, you're going to find that out and find out how to turn on a microphone. Those answers and free plays coming your way right here on First Pitch on WagerTalk TV. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and joining me, we got a great crew today. Marco D'Angelo, Mark Zinno, and Jeff Michaels getting you the winners on a Tuesday afternoon here live on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe here and give these guys a little like for the hard work they're doing. Let's get into it. One of the stars of Bet On It and one of the co-founders of WagerTalk, we got Marco D'Angelo here, and he wants to take a look at the Mets and the Marlins. We'll start off at the top of the rotation number here. Marco, how are we betting this one?
No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to mess with you, Dan.
I was like, you too? It's going around. It must be a pandemic here. Yeah.
That's I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I deserve that. I deserve that.
No problem. Guys, we're taking a look at this one. And, yeah, this one's got situation. Obviously, big game for Miami as they're fighting to try to get one of those final wild card spots. And the Mets, hey, give them credit. They were a team that came into this season, was supposed to be a contender, went out and got the big name pitchers, Verlander and Scherzer, traded them away at the trade deadline. And you know what? They could have taken their ball and went home, so to speak. But they are battling. They're scrapping it out here down the course of the season. So they're not a contender, but they get to play the role of spoiler. And if you look, the last two series that they've played, they played two teams that were fighting for the wild card spot, Arizona and Cincinnati, and they've played well. They've won 6 of their last 9 games, and I'm going to look at them in this matchup once again to try to, put a monkey in the wrench here for the playoff hopes of a team. You look at the pitching matchup, and you got Joey Lucchesi going for the Mets. Now, since he's returned from injury, his 2 starts have been absolutely brilliant. He's gone 12-plus innings. He's allowed just 1 run. And, oh, by the way, that 1 run that he allowed was actually an unearned run. So he is absolutely dealing it right now. He's facing a pitcher, Braxton Garrett, who on the season at home, his ERA, not that good, just south of 5, 4.77. So I am going to look at the Mets here, but I don't want to go full game with the Mets. I just don't trust the bullpen. And I like the pitching matchup with the 2 starters. So what we're going to do is look at this one, first 5 innings. And because this line is inflated, in my opinion, because of the must-win status of Miami, we're able to grab a half a run with the Mets and basically get them in a pick'em situation. I think that's plus EV. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Mets plus a half a run. I'm expecting a pitcher's duel kind of in this one. Look at the total. It's only 8. By today's standards, that's a low total in Major League Baseball. So if runs are going to be at a premium, I've got a red-hot pitcher, and you're going to give me a half a run spotting me for the first 5 innings, and I can do it at even money? Yeah, sign me up for that one. And, oh, by the way, Miami coming off that loss yesterday, when they are coming off a loss, trying to revenge a loss from the day before, and they scored 1 run or less in that loss, they're just 35 and 65 the last 3 seasons in that revenge spot. Let's go ahead and take the Mets for the big game breakdown. First 5 plus a half a run.
Yeah, love that strong trend on that one, dropping some actionable info at the tail end there. So Marco expecting the Mets to start off better than I started off the show. Shouldn't be hard on that accord there. But Mets getting the half a run in the first 5. That's Marco's big game breakdown of the day. He's got an AL game of the week going right now. You can check him out at wt.buzz/MD. Mark Zinno was just on Wager Talk today earlier, so you'll get some baseball thoughts. He dropped some as well on that show. If you want his thoughts on the NFL, check out today's edition of Wager Talk today. But let's take a look at Atlanta and Philadelphia. Spencer Strider going to be looking to add another feather in his potential Cy Young cap as the Bravos are looking for the bounce back today. How are you expecting this one to shake out early, Mark?
Well, it's a rematch of last week's pitching matchup between Strider and Philly starter Christopher
Hmm.
Sanchez. And if you haven't been paying attention, you probably have. I mean, Strider seems to dominate everybody, but he might have the deed to the Philadelphia Phillies with the way he's owned them over his career. 1.56 ERA, a whip that is so minuscule, a .76 ERA. This is a .76 whip, rather. This is over 40 and a third innings, guys, that he has pitched against the Phillies in his career. And in that time frame, he's averaging 13.6 strikeouts per 9 innings against the Phillies. In 3 starts against them this year, he's gone 19 innings, allowed just 14 hits, 4 runs, while striking out 27. So he absolutely has the keys to owning the Philadelphia Phillies, and he's proven that time and time again. Christopher Sanchez, again, the rematch of last week, started last week against the Braves. He went 7 1/3 innings, gave up 4 runs, but he's been much better on the road this year. It's weird. Christopher Sanchez is kind of a tough luck pitcher. He's just 2-4 in 16 starts, but he's got a 3.4 ERA and a very good 1.05 whip. There's been a couple of starts this year where Rob Thompson has pulled him after 5 innings, including one in a no-hitter that they ended up losing the game for. But you're looking at a guy here on the road. Has got a 1.29 ERA. He's holding opponents to a 167 batting average. And I expect that he will come back and be just as good on the road as he was last time. When these two teams met last time, it was a 4-0 lead at the end of 4 innings. He only gave up one home run. It was to Austin Riley, which is important against the Braves. You got to keep him in the ballpark. So I'm looking at the first 5 under here. Now, normally, you don't want to kind of get in front of either one of these lineups, particularly the Braves.
Hmm.
This is juice to the over, which I think is why we're getting a good price here on the first 5 under at even money here. So we're going to roll the dice and know that Spencer Strider will do his job to shut down the Phillies. I think Sanchez does enough to shut down the Braves. Again, remember, the Braves now are kind of in coast mode, guys. They've already clinched
Hmm.
the NL East. I mean, they only have a couple more games left where they can clinch the #1 seed. So they're not necessarily as motivated as they were last week before they clinched everything. I think that'll play into this a little bit. Give me first 5 under, 4.5 between the Braves and Phillies at even money.
And of course, clinched in the Phillies ballpark there. 2 first 5 plays out of the gate here in the big game breakdowns. You have something that you're eyeing in the first 5? Hop below in the comments and let us know. Final big game breakdown is one that's true in the essence. It's Houston and Baltimore that my man Jeff Michaels wants to talk about here. And man, that rally by the O's, it was kind of emblematic of how they've been all season long. Just kind of a gritty team that never really wants to go away. And when the bats get hot, look out. So I'm wondering, as this one kicks off, you think that Houston will get their payback real quick here in game 2, or are the O's wrapping up another series win? How are you looking to bet it, Jeff?
Dan, you always amaze me. It's like you know what we're gonna say when you lead us into these, but you let it in perfectly. But it's amazing to me. I do want to start off. You said it. Baltimore's been impressive this season and has
Hmm.
caught our attention basically from the beginning of the year. But hey, think back to the actual start of the year. There was only one team in the AL East that everybody was really paying attention to, and that team's rolling back into the swing of things and is only 2.5 games back of Baltimore, obviously talking about Tampa Bay there. But they've made the divisional race here an actual race to the finish. And the AL West has ended the same way. Houston's got the lead right now, but they're only a game and a half again ahead of Seattle and Texas. So they got 2 guys right there on their tail. And originally, this game's exciting. I was looking towards Baltimore, but as you mentioned, that way that game ended last night, I don't think I can back Baltimore just because I like the bounce back opportunity for Houston. But I'm going to take a look at the total here.
Okay.
Baltimore 3-0 in the last 3 games, but 2 upsets. And you said it, when that bat gets swinging, they've outscored opponents in the last 3 games, 21-11. They've put up 36 hits in those 3 games. And Houston, I mean, they're 2-5 in the last 7 games, but they've put up 22 runs in the last 3 games, and they're just 1-2 in those games. So a little bit of bad luck there, I think, on Houston's side, not to mention 2 of those against Kansas City. But pitching matchup wise, Kyle Gibson 5-2 to the over in the last 7, a couple bad starts in there. And Hunter Brown's 9-4 to the over at home, a 5.6 ERA. He hasn't gone under in back to back starts since June. and he did go under in his last start, plus 6-2 to the over in his last 8. So I got to be looking at the over here. I think Baltimore's bats stay hot, but I do think that this is a potential bounce back opportunity for Houston. So I think we see a lot of runs here tonight, and we see this go up and over that total.
Yeah, and looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, Jeff, we're starting to see the books that cater to the sharper bettors already showing that 9.5. So if you like the over, go and grab that 9 now, because sooner rather than later, even those recreational books probably going to be adding that hook on there. So over in the Houston and Baltimore matchup. That's from our man, Jeff Michaels. He's got a promo code right now. Jeff3 will get you 3-day all access for $55. We also have a promo code coming from Mark Zeno, so stay tuned for that. Marco D'Angelo has a best bet. He's currently on a 12-4 MLB run, up over $2,300 during that run. So check him out for sure. But Marco, I'm wondering first, Cleveland and Kansas City, it took the comeback effort for this Royals team that just refuses to say die when they're playing against these teams that need wins. They get it done last night, but what do you think? Maybe Cleveland gets the goes up early, makes them play from behind again today. How are you betting it?
Well, that's why, Dan, I love first 5 inning wagers, because you don't have to, you only got to worry basically about 2 guys. That's the 2 starting pitchers. That's where your handicap comes. And I say it all the time, whenever you bet a full game wager, you're asking generally in today's, landscape of the way managers handle their pitchers, you're going to have 4 guys basically do their job. Your starter's got to get you those 5 or 6. And then you got to worry about the guy that comes in the 7th inning, the 8th inning setup guy, and then the closer in the 9th. So let's erase all of that today, and let's look at the first 5 innings. And to me, the first 5 innings puts me on Cleveland in this one. They're sending Logan Allen to the mound today. And 6 of his last 8 starts, he's allowed 2 runs or less. Now, in 4 of those 6, the 2 runs or less are impressive, but he's had 0 or 1 run allowed in 4 of the 6. So I'm impressed with the way he's been pitching lately. I'm going to look for him to continue to do that. Kansas City's not exactly a scoring juggernaut. And with the first 5 innings, we eliminate the bullpen that got torched for 4 runs in the 8th inning yesterday, coughing up that 4-2 lead. Kansas City, they're just 11-35 against the money line after a game where the bullpen gave up no runs. The bullpen came in and kept Cleveland at bay after Cleveland had that early 4-2 lead yesterday. Also, in key word here, yesterday, that was an afternoon game. Kansas City, for whatever reason, plays better. I know they've had a horrible season, but they're just dismal at night. That was a day game. They got the win. When they play at night this season, how about 28-64? Let's go ahead, let's bet against Kansas City, taking Cleveland. First 5 inning wager. I'll go ahead and lay the half a run here, which will bring us to -105 for the wager. I'll take Cleveland. They're playing hard for their manager, who's probably going to retire at the end of the season. Let's go ahead, take Cleveland as the best bet, minus the half a run, first 5.
Cleveland gets up early, says Marco D'Angelo. If you like the content, folks, make sure you hit like and hit subscribe so you never miss any of our shows here at Wager Talk, including Bet On It, that will be back dropping on Wednesday. College football and NFL coming your way tomorrow here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Don't miss that. It is a must-watch show, and the sooner you get to it, more likely you are to get on this right side as the line moves. All right, Mark Zeno, we talked about how you have a promo code as well. Zeno3 gets you a 3-day pass, only $39. Basically giving people 2 days for free to try out the service from our man Zeno over at sportsmemo.com. You also have a best bet for the folks in this Angels and Rays game. And last time, it was a month ago, that Tampa Bay put up 18 runs in this matchup. Should we expect runs again? Is it just ain't broke, don't fix it? Is that how you're betting it?
Yeah, I mean, it's also about the two starters here, Dan. I mean, you get Taj
Mm,
Bradley going for the Rays, who has filled a spot in the rotation, but hasn't been any measure of effective. He hasn't won a game since June 21st. Since that win, he's allowed at least 3 earned runs in 7 of his next 9 starts and allowed at least 4 in 5 of them. His home ERA is 5.58 on the year. Opponents are batting 258 against him. I know he missed the entire month of August while he was on the injured list, but his 3 starts since returning, a 5.06 ERA, and he didn't face the Angels when the two teams met last month. But Los Angeles in that series scored at least 6 runs in 2 or 3 games against Rays pitching, a total 13 runs for this series. So I know that the Angels' bats are a concern here because to say that they're underperforming would be an understatement. They're just not hitting at all or well these days at all. But against Taj Bradley, I'm hopeful they'll push 3 or 4 across. Los Angeles starts Pablo Sandoval, another guy who's not been effective, a 4.48 ERA and a 1.5 whip on the year. He faced the Rays last month, allowed 6 runs over 4 and 2/3 innings. That was the 18-4 blowout that you referenced. But Sandoval's allowed 20 runs over his last 3 starts, taking a loss in all 3. Now, the Rays are #1 in baseball in batting average, OPS, and WRC plus at home against lefties since August 14th. There's also an Angels bullpen that they're facing that is bottom 6 in baseball in ERA, whip, and home runs allowed. I think Tampa does more of the heavy lifting here, but there were a ton of runs scored in this 3-game series a month ago. I think we see it here again. We get a good number at 8. We'll go over 8. Best bet tonight between the Rays and Angels.
over the 8 there in Angels and Rays by our man Mark Zinno. And definitely, as we mentioned, check him out over at sportsmemo.com. Jeff, you're going to get the final word here today in the Giants and D-backs game. And the Giants finally were able to win a game in Colorado. They scored 11 runs. It didn't come easy. You score 11, only win by 1. But now they have to stay on the road. 2 games set against the D-backs. Is it 2 straight wins coming here, or you think the home side maybe throw some ice water on it? How are you looking to bet this one?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting series for Arizona if you
Mm-hmm.
look at it. It's only a 2-game series, but it's the last series that Arizona plays against the National League, let alone their own
Oh,
division, and their last attempt to really make a double-sided impact on the playoffs when you talk about pushing San Francisco farther back and pushing them farther into a potential wild card position. And I think that that drives them tonight. So I'm going with Arizona here as my best bet. I mean, you look at the pitching matchup, Alex Cobb's on the mound for the Giants, 20 earned runs in his last 5 road starts. That's over 23 and a third innings pitched. But on the year, he's got a 5.26 ERA on the road. Compare that to a 1.95 ERA at home. So it's been night and day between home and away on the season for Alex Cobb, and they've really struggled on the road here. And right when it matters, right when it's essential for them to get these wins, they're just 1-9 on the road in September so far this season. They're losing those games by over 3 runs per game. And you want to talk about the momentum train that Arizona's on. Not only have they won 3 straight games, but they put up 19 runs, and all 3 of those games they were an underdog. So 3 straight upsets, not to mention Zac Gallen on the mound, a 2.18 ERA at home. Team's 11-3 in his home starts this year behind a .971 whip. And I thought this was crazy, stood out to me more than anything. How about night starts at home for Zac Gallen? 10-0 for Arizona. They're winning by over 4 runs per game. And Arizona's already 3-1 at home against San Fran on this season. Laying a little bit of juice, short series, every game counts. So, first game immediately into the last game. I think both of these are about as close to must-win games for Arizona as we get for them to close out the season, since they're closing it out against the American League. So I'm laying the juice tonight and going with Arizona against San Fran.
laying the juice with the D-backs for our man Jeff Michaels. Going with the over in Angels and Rays is Mark Zinno. and Marco D'Angelo with a first 5 play minus the half run for Cleveland in the first 5. That's the experts' best bets for today. Hop below in the comments and let us know what you're playing tonight. While you're down there, hit that like button and hit subscribe and let us know what you want to hear from us here on First Pitch. You want some playoff breakdowns as we head closer? You like the daily games? Let us know. We want to hear from you. And before you leave, gotta remind you, the legend, Dave Koken, has a 5% best bet up now. It's $2 Tuesday. You can grab that for just $2 over at WagerTalk.com. While you're over there, check out our guys and click on over to Sports Memo and check out Mark Zinno as well. That is going to do it for another day of First Pitch here. Big thanks to Jeff Michaels, Mark Zinno, and Marco D'Angelo. I'm Dan Alexander. We'll be back locked and loaded, a morning edition coming your way on First Pitch. We'll see you next time.